The football man from the Chicago Tribune, a valued friend and trusted colleague. Good morning. It's Biggs time. Morning, Brad.
Morning, Dave. What's going on?
So, yesterday, Halas Hall, Ben Johnson did a Zoom, and he was asked about the number one overall seed. He was asked about the type of season it has been and all the excitement he has created, shirtless thing aside. And from a football perspective, Brad, he gave an answer that I think I totally understood. We got in a conversation earlier this show, though, about how, well, maybe it was the right thing to say, maybe it was the wrong tone to set. He basically said that Bears have not accomplished anything. It doesn't mean anything yet. I think that's the right tone to set. What did you take away? What was your reaction to what Ben Johnson said yesterday about that specifically?
Well, Dave, 9 wins isn't going to get the Bears into the party in January.
Right.
They'd be on the outside looking in, and Ben made the point, and I don't disagree with him, that it might take 11 wins, certainly for a wild card team, and the Bears can't compete for the NFC South title, so they might need to get to 11. So from that standpoint, yeah, there's still a lot of football to go. I mean, think about it. There's 5 regular season games remaining. If it was at the start of the season and you said, hey, boy, you know, what's it going to be like in week 6? Your reaction would be like, well, there's a lot of football to play before they get there. So I think it's consistent with the message that he sent to the players in the locker room all season in terms of keeping them focused on this week. You know, I've heard players say it in the past, and it's believable. I've heard players say it in the past, and it sounds like it's kind of corny. I think they're really good at turning the page from the previous week's game and kind of locking in on the task at hand, and they've been really good at that all season.
I think that's a strength of the coaching staff, certainly, but I also believe we get a texter that says, oh, you're moving the goalpost. And I would think, okay, I believe we probably are. I began the season believing that the Bears, if they won more than they lost in Ben Johnson's first season, it would qualify as a successful year. I think that's different now. You've got 9 wins, and it's December 1st or December 2nd. So with 5 games to go, if you end up with 9 wins, it won't feel like a successful season. That's okay, because that's part of sports, isn't it? I mean, I think that it's okay to acknowledge the fact that we have changed the way that we view Ben Johnson's first season, and everybody should.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. When you've got the top seed in the conference with 5 games to go in the season, you're hunting for something a little different than maybe you thought you'd be looking for back in on Labor Day weekend. So the Bears are in a great spot. They've gotten here through a lot of hard work by the coaches and the players. Like it's not just Ben, but boy, the presence of Ben Johnson through nearly a full season now shows you what a tremendous difference coaching and then really sharp play calling can mean in the NFL.
And I think what we heard yesterday, Brad, about Ben Johnson's response to a question about the offense, when he went into detail about what the wide receivers need to do to run more detailed routes, about how they're winning in spite of the passing game and not because of it. That was stark reality, but he wasn't wrong. And I don't think he was implicating just his receivers. I think that he was also addressing the issues with Caleb Williams' inaccuracy. And that, to me, is what you want from your head coach, is to hold people accountable even when things are going as well as they are going for the Bear offense.
Yeah, they've got to be better in the passing game as a whole if they want to win important games between here and whenever they're done playing. Like what they've been doing of late here, and that's the quarterback, and that's all the pieces in that passing game is not going to be suitable in a big moment where you've got an opponent that if you don't play well for the first 3.5 quarters isn't going to do you the service of letting you hang around. So they know that. They're working at it. It's all sort of a work in progress, but there's incredible reason for confidence with 9 wins in 10 games, with the complete demolition of the Eagles. And I don't remember the last time the Bears had this much legit confidence going into a big and meaningful game against the Packers, because there's been a little ebb and flow in the series where when the Bears have been particularly good, the Packers have had a rare down year. And when the Packers have been good, well, most of the time the Bears haven't been good. But, this is a huge game for both teams on Sunday.
This segment with Brad Biggs, sponsored by S-Wing Professional Tools, made in the USA for over 100 years, swing.com. Brad, the Bears go back to work today. They're having Tuesday as a practice. I believe they readjusted it because of the way that Black Friday fell and all the things about this week moving forward. So they will be back on the field. The question is, on the offensive line, Ozzie Trapillo had a pretty good day because you didn't hear his name a lot. We talked about it yesterday, just how well he played and where he graded out according to PFF and just passing the eye test. Against a team like the Packers, where pass protection is, I think, the number one priority because of Micah Parsons, that's Ozzie Trapillo's strength. At the same time, you're a running team. You lead the NFL in rushing yardage. You could plug in Theo Bennett if he is healthy, because that is his strength. Which way do you think the Bears are leaning, and what do you expect today when the Bears offense takes the field for practice?
Well, I think based on the number of live reps that Ozzie's had over the past couple weeks, he's probably the guy this week. And I don't know that pass blocking's his strength. I think he's better at that right now than Theo, and Theo might be a little better at run blocking. I think if you gave Ozzie the choice, he'd probably run block all day, but that's most offensive linemen. Hey, he's been out there for 2 games, and you sort of haven't noticed him. And that's really the goal for all offensive linemen, right? When the number's not being called off for a penalty, when you're not saying, hey, what was that? And it wasn't a perfect game. Like, he gave up, I think it was Nolan Smith got around him in a flash. Caleb maybe shook Smith, and then there was another defender there to bring him down for a sack. He's going to have to tighten up against Micah Parsons, and then, my goodness, on the other side of that is Myles Garrett. But probably Trapillo. He's gotten all the live reps the last couple weeks, and you just kind of see where that continues to take you.
I want to ask you about something Cole Kmet addressed yesterday during his session with the Bears via Zoom. He was referencing the way that Ben Johnson is involved in installing the running plays every week, the run portion of the game plan. And I just didn't – I think that we just assumed that, but I didn't know how it struck players that way, in a way that maybe impacted or just showed that where his emphasis was. What did you make of that, and how important is that because of the way the Bears have been successfully emphasizing the running game?
Yeah, I think that's in Ben's DNA. Like, that's in his identity of his core beliefs of football, and some of these principles in the run game, and the idea that you're going to go out there and be physical, and that's how he wants to play. So it's refreshing, maybe, that you have a quarterback that thinks that way, and he's not alone, right? But how many of these hotshot coordinators over the last 10, 15 years, or hotshot quarterbacks coaches that were trying to get on the radar as a coordinator in that period, just want to show you how smart they are with their pass design, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's offensive coaches that give off that vibe. Like, Ben is very, very sharp with that pass game stuff, and you see it with some of these schemes where they've got guys open, but what he gets a thrill out of is the run game piece. And Ben Johnson, a former college quarterback, could probably coach offensive line if he wanted to. That was one of the takeaways I had from a conversation with Bengals coach Zach Taylor back, must have been late January, where he said, he's toyed with the idea here at least 20 times of trying to bring Ben in on my staff in Cincinnati as a defensive position coach. He was looking for any way he could to get Ben in the building because he had such high regard for him as a coach and knew that anything he was tasked with, he would do at a super high level, which that to me is kind of fascinating because some coaches will just tell you, they know their thing, but I don't know what's going on over there. Zach Taylor felt like Ben could do it all.
So you write in the Tribune today about Ben Johnson promising that, it was December when he said the Bears would be playing their best football. And you articulate the reasons why you think that he, could be right and why he believes that. Here we are in December, and look, the Bears are playing their best football. How would you summarize what you wrote this morning in the Tribune and the reasons why that's the case?
Well, they've got a high bar to raise, right? Because they just went 5-0 in November. That's the first 5-0 month the Bears have had since November of 1959. So it's been a minute. I think, and it was toward the bottom of my piece, but the schedule makes it easier for them to be playing better ball, meaning it's no longer going to be a question. I don't think they have to be perfect in December to be playing better football than they did in November. In fact, I know it. If they can go 3-1 against this schedule in December, that'll be evidence to me that they're playing their best football of the year. Offensive line domination paired up with the ground game. I mean, that travels. You can take that on the road to any city in the National Football League. That should give them confidence. One thing that I think is worth a deeper exploration at some point is Dennis Allen has gotten a ton of credit for juggling the lineup because of all the injuries, first in the secondary, more recently in linebacker. What about the job he's done just kind of scheming up the opponent on a week-to-week basis? Like, I don't think we've given Dennis enough credit for his ability to do that than we should have, right? Like, I mean, he's been super impressive. The takeaways, 26 takeaways, kind of takes away from what he's doing from an X's and O's standpoint to help the Bears succeed. Caleb in the offense, fourth quarter tested. That's another good reason. Bears are getting healthier. I don't know when some of these linebackers will come back, but the Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon should be a little stronger this week than they were last week. At the same time, Dave, Green Bay's dealt with more injuries than the Bears this season, and so have the 49ers, and that represents 3 of the 4 games in December. And finally, they got so many offensive weapons. If you're preparing to play the Bears and the Ben Johnson offense, what are you going to take away? And what are you potentially giving up if you try to take that away?
It was good stuff, ChicagoTribune.com, because you do explain why December could be potentially what they need to do to make it even better than November was, and they didn't lose a game. Also, you want to check out your story with Dan Rochar for people that missed it. Brad, that was terrific. I know you talked to a lot of people, and I know it was last week, but Dan Rochar's presence on this staff just underscores how Ben Johnson put together a staff full of guys from all different experience levels, all different connections. And I was trying to explain this morning what the difference between 2018 and 2025 is from that standpoint. And I just feel like this is a startup from Ben Johnson. And he brought in guys like Rochar, and he brought in guys from all different types of backgrounds, all different experience levels, and he put them together in this coaching staff, which seems to be working together quite well. Chemistry is good. And I just think when you mentioned Dennis Allen's importance, you could name probably 2 or 3 guys who have been impressive as assistant coaches and a big part of this success.
Yeah, Dan Roshar, Dave, was a couple of weeks into retirement and got a call from Ben Johnson with Ben simply wanting to know, is this something you'd be interested in? And Roshar was indeed interested in it. He'd spent a decade with the Saints. He was fired in New Orleans.
He was power washing his deck, wasn't he?
No, he was power washing his deck after he got let go by the Saints. He was power washing his deck for the third time in 2 weeks when his wife said, "You're going to have to find something else to do." So he hooked on. He hooked on with Tulane, and he's had a huge impact on those players. They've got a nice mix in the room. Kyle Devan is a younger offensive line coach and assistant there that the team really likes, and they feel like the combination of him with Roshar, the experienced veteran, has really been impactful in that room. And the Roshar stories, it's kind of nuts. He grew up in Clinton, Iowa as a quarterback, went to Northern Illinois and played quarterback, dabbled a little at wide receiver, then kind of does a little student assistant thing for Bill Mallory. Lee Corso comes in to coach the Huskies, and Roshar's looking to do anything he can to help out. And they had a couple offensive line coaches, and they said, "Well, kid, we don't have anybody working with the tight ends." He's like, "I'll do it." So that's how he kind of was initially immersed in the world of offensive line play.
It was an excellent story. Well done. Brad, we only have a couple minutes left, but this is not a fair question, but it's a popular one. I've been asked a lot.
You're the king of asking loaded questions.
Well, they're loaded. Okay, this is totally loaded. They're guilty as charged. What is the biggest difference in your mind between the Bears' success, the surprising success of this season, and the 2018 season that we referenced just a little bit ago? Kyle Long went to Twitter yesterday and said that would be a great matchup between those two teams. And there are similarities, but there are important differences as well. What do you see in terms of a comparison and a contrast between those two teams?
Well, that's a great question. It probably would be a pretty damn good game, especially if both sides are fully healthy. I think this group is might be a little more well-rounded. Like if you were just looking at it right now and you said take the 4 units, offense for both of those teams and defense for both of those teams, the 2018 defense is the best unit of the 4.
I agree with that.
Right? And I don't think it's probably real close. So that's the best unit, but with some of the razzle-dazzle that Nagy gave you, especially in the first half of that season, I think it masked some of the deficiencies that they had going on offensively. And certainly that stuff kind of popped up there in the final third of the season. But that would be a fun battle, though. And it feels like that 2018 season was like a decade and a half ago, doesn't it?
It does.
With everything that's transpired since.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think Bears fans are, over the moon right now with the success that Ben Johnson and the current team has enjoyed as the team enters December.
Great stuff, Brad. Terrific story in this morning's Tribune. Hope everyone reads it at chicagotribune.com. We'll talk to you later.
Have a great day, Dave.